once a year, I would make sure that I made my way to church to hear Pastor Don Wagner share the story of the other wise man. This is a story that has shaped my faith and my understanding of God and challenged me in ways that I still am only realizing. I am honored now to share it with you. In the days when Augustus Caesar ruled over many kings, including Herod in Jerusalem, there lived among the mountains of Persia a certain man named Artaban. Artaban was one of the Magi, men who studied the stars at night in search of truth about God. Together with his friends Casper, Melchior, and Balthazar, they had made an exciting discovery. In ancient writings, they had found a promise that at a special time, a star would rise. And at the time of the star's rising, a king would be born. He would be the truth, sent from the Most High, the Son of God. Artaban believed that time to be near, and so he sold all of his possessions and purchased 3 gifts for the king. A sapphire, as blue as the Persian night sky. A ruby, as red as the first rays of sunrise. And a pearl, as pure and white as the snow-capped mountains. Each night, Artaban would spend watching the sky until at last, is that it? There in the distant horizon, just a spark at first. But as it rose, it grew, first blue, then red, then a dazzling, bright white light. Artaban exclaimed, "It is the sign." And so he gathered up food and provisions for the journey. He had made arrangements with his friends, Casper, Melchior, and Balthazar, that they would meet at the temple in Babylon by midnight, 10 days from the star's first rising. He could not be late. Artaban saddled Vazda, his fastest horse, and rode off into the night. For 10 days, he rode over grassy hills, through lush valleys, climbing mountains and crossing rivers. Till after 10 days, Artaban knew that he was just hours from Babylon, when suddenly something startled Vazda. Artaban dismounted to look around, and there in the road, he found the body of a man. He turned to leave, but then there was a groan and a tug at his robe. The man was alive. Artaban knew that without help, this man would not survive the night. But if he were to stay, well, then he would surely miss his friends. So Artaban turned to the star he had been following. "O God of truth and light, show me the wisdom of what it is you would have me do." And with that, Artaban knew. Hour after hour, Artaban stayed with the man, giving him cool sips of water and medicine made from herbs that he had brought with him. Until at last, the man was well enough. And he said this to him, I have nothing with which to repay you, but I can offer you this. Our prophets tell us that the Messiah is to be born in Bethlehem, not in Jerusalem. And that is where you must seek him. And with a Hebrew man's blessing, Artaban rode off, arriving in Babylon at the temple at the first light of dawn. His friends were gone. But under a brick at the foot of the temple was a note. It read, "We have waited until well past midnight and can delay no longer. We go to seek the king. Come, follow us across the desert." Worn and exhausted, Artaban knew that Vazda could not survive that journey alone. And so reluctantly, Artaban pulled out the sapphire and sold it and bought a camel and provisions for the long journey. Week after week, month after month, Artaban crossed the desert, always following the star, always hoping to catch up with his friends, always praying to find the king. When he arrived in Bethlehem, he searched the streets, and there in a small cottage he saw a young woman rocking her baby. Could this be the child he was seeking? No. But she fed him and talked with him. Yes, there had been 3 strangers here, and they had brought with them very odd gifts for Joseph and Mary and their son. But just as quickly as they arrived, they left. And then in the night, Joseph and his family left. No one knows why, but rumor has it they went to Egypt. Then all at once, there was chaos in the streets. Shouting and screaming, swords clashing, women were crying out, "The soldiers, Herod's soldiers, they're killing our children!" Artaban wasted no time. He motioned for the woman and her baby to hide in the corner, and he went and stood in the doorway, reaching his hand into his pocket and pulling out the ruby. When the captain of the guard arrived, Artaban stated simply, "I am alone here, and I have this gem for any soldier who will leave me in peace." The man greedily snatched up the gem and motioned for the other soldiers to move on. Once again, Artaban turned to the night sky. "Oh God of truth, forgive me for saying that which was not true in order to save the life of this child, and for once again giving to another what I had meant only for you. Will I ever be worthy to see the face of the King?" The next morning, Artaban rode off towards Egypt. He saw the pyramids and the Nile. Always searching, he found many to serve, but none to worship. After 33 years, with his body old and tired, Artaban thought to return one more time to Jerusalem and hope of finding his king there. When he arrived, the city was busy with preparations for the Passover. But there was something more. There was a pushing, a shoving, a tension in the streets. And when he asked why, what was going on, the response was, well, haven't you heard? 2 thieves are to be crucified, and with them a man, Jesus of Nazareth. Some say he is the Son of God. He is to be executed because he said he was the King of the Jews. Could this be? Could this be the one he had been searching for all this time? And then Artaban felt in his pocket the pearl. Maybe, just maybe, he could buy the freedom of the king from the king's enemies with this pearl. As he turned to go find him, soldiers crossed his path, dragging with them a young girl. She was dirty, and her hair was tangled, and her dress was torn. And she cried out to him, "Help me, kind sir. My father died owing a large sum of money, and I am to be sold as a slave to pay his debt. Save me from a life worse than death." Twice before, Artaban had missed his chance to find the king because he had stopped to help others. But would it be helping this girl be an act of love? And isn't that what this God is all about? Artaban placed the pearl in the hand of the girl. "My child, your freedom has been paid for." And all at once, the sky turned dark, and the earth began to shake. The soldiers ran off, and buildings were swaying back and forth. A piece of tile from a roof fell and hit Artaban in the temple. As the young girl sat, cradling Artaban's bleeding head, she could hear him speaking in his Persian tongue, though she did not know who he was talking to. When he said, "When, Lord? When did I see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did I see you naked and clothe you, or sick and care for you, or in prison and visit you? I have searched for you for 33 years, and I have never seen your face." And then the girl heard the voice, strong and gentle. "Whenever you did so for any of my children, you did so for me." And with a great sense of peace, the other wise man